Good evening, everybody. This is The Ring, The Cage, and The Stage, and today we have none other than TRACY MCGINNIS, who is the lead singer for the band Choke. What's going on, Tracy?
Uh, just wait until we start playing again. We had a busy past couple of months, and we played our last show last weekend, and now we're writing and going to record for a new album.
That's what's up. For those of you who are not real familiar with the band Choke, Tracy, could you give a brief history of the band to those who say who would ask, hey, who is Choke?
We were one of the original New Orleans area bands from Lake Charles, which is 3 hours away. But we were managed, and our record company and studio and everything, our booking agent, everything was out of New Orleans. So all of our business was in New Orleans. All our mail went there. And we got labeled as a New Orleans band. So we were one of the original bands down there with Acid Bath and Crowbar, and before Down and before Super Joint, and before all the bands Go Horror and all that everybody knows now. But we were around in that whole beginning of that scene.
Right on. And I understand that today the current lineup of Choke is not the same lineup as when you guys started. Hello?
Yep.
So in the beginning, it was you, it was Boone, Charlie Fry, who's with you guys still now, was not with y'all at the beginning.
No, Charlie came in. Boone was with us. The first year we were just a four-piece, then Boone joined and played with us for 2 years. Then Charlie joined after that. So
okay.
Charlie's been with us for 20-plus years now.
You guys have a self-titled album, and then you guys have Whatever Happened to Mark Twain's America, and then obviously there's the unreleased album, which is on YouTube, and I will be happy to put a link to it at the end of this in the credits.
Yeah, and that's it.
Right on. Well, you and the band in general, what would you say would be the musical influences for Choke?
When we formed, I was living in Austin. I was playing in a punk band, and I didn't really want to be in a metal band per se, because at the time metal was pretty lame. I mean, in the early '90s, it was hair metal bands were out, and grunge was kind of new.
And alternative was rolling a little bit.
Alternative was big, and Pantera and Sepultura were like the only two metal bands that I really dug at the time. Until I joined Choke and I started kind of digging deeper into the underground. But the first rehearsal, I rehearsed with a Black Sabbath song and a Led Zeppelin song, and that's how I got the gig. Because that's the only two bands that all of us agreed upon. Because I was into more like Frank Zappa and the Boredoms and weirder stuff.
I thought everybody from Choke loves Faith No More.
Well, we did have that because right after I joined, King for a Day came out, and you can really hear that influence vocal-wise on the first album, because that's what we were listening to in the van a lot. So a lot of that and Acid Bath kind of bled through in our songwriting for sure on the first album.
Right on. The next question I have is, who are some of the most well-known people that Choke has shared the stage with, and also would you mind describing the event you did that the Misfits played on, as well as the CBGB's gig?
Okay, we shared the stage with a lot of people. I mean, we were touring with Soylent Green when we played in Philadelphia, and Lamb of God opened up for us, and they were called Burn the Priest at the time. Drowning Pool, I don't know. I mean,
Incubus,
Hank
3.
Yeah, you're rattling them off better than I am.
Yep.
I mean, Hate Breed, All That Remains.
Most recently, Corrosion of Conformity.
Right, Corrosion, and of course Crowbar, and I mean all the bands from New Orleans, of course, and I don't know, filling some of those smaller side bands, like Christ Inversion and stuff like that. I don't know, I'm drawing a blank, but we've been doing it for so long,
Right. As far as go ahead.
Raising Slab, there's been a few others, but
as far as going back to the influences, you personally, I mean, just getting into music, did you tell me one time that probably one of your first musical memories, and I guess this would probably be a big answer. Did you tell me one time that your dad took you to see Elvis Presley?
Yes, Elvis played here in Lake Charles in the Civic Center when I was 7, and he actually had tickets for him and my grandmother and my aunt to go. And I was such an Elvis fan at 7 that I cried, and my grandmother let me have the ticket. So I got to go, me and my father and my aunt went to see Elvis when I was 7. And I do remember bits and pieces of the show. I can remember some of the lighting, and I can remember what he wore and stuff like that.
Would you say that was a pretty driving factor in making
Oh, yeah,
you,
and then my second concert, they took me to see a live Hee Haw. So I saw Hee Haw.
Grandpa Jones?
All of it, man.
That's
Roy Clark and the whole Buck Owens and Hager Brothers. Yes, all of them.
That's what's up. What are some cool stories you have as far as just, I know you told me that when y'all opened for Hank 3, ZZ Top came and hang out with y'all?
Yeah, Billy and Dusty were backstage, and I can't tell you what happened backstage because it's I don't tell.
I understand. And then
Billy likes to keep some things secret, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, I got you. And then, of course, you told me you went to a party with Marilyn Manson's band. I didn't know him himself was there until I talked to you recently, but through that type of stuff, I've seen pictures of you with Scott Ian, Trent Reznor, and...
Yeah, that was all early on, in the early, because we were touring a lot more back then, and so we were kind of the new it band in the New Orleans scene. We weren't on the top, but we were in that next tier, and so we were invited to a lot of parties and backstage, and we got to go, to backstage to Pantera shows and whatnots and stuff like that.
Right.
As far as the Misfits, your question earlier, that was at the Milwaukee Metal Fest.
Yes.
And there was a bunch of bands. There was Neurosis and all kind of bands, In Flames and all kind of bands. Soylent Green, of course, and then Today Is the Day and Bongzilla and Dillinger Escape Plan. It was pretty cool. We played on the Relapse stage, so we were on a really good stage with a lot of the really good bands. So.
And then once again, y'all did get to play a gig at CBGB's before it closed, right?
Yeah, we played there with Crisis for their CD release party in 1997. It was sold out.
Who else was there?
Soylent Green was on the bill, and then we got to hang out with, of course, Anthrax for there, and Madball and Trouble, the guys from Trouble, which we became friends with.
Okay.
And then Agnostic Front, I got to meet all those guys, so I was like tripped out, because I was into them when I was a kid. So
that's what's up. What is the current status of the documentary that was being made by that man named Herman? Garcia.
The guy, he moved up north, and the guy that was financially backing it backed out of it after we shot a lot of the footage, a lot of the interview footage, and we had like a green light from PBS, and it was all kind of the Louisiana Art and Film Commission was in on it.
Wow!
But the money disappeared. We had all our ducks in a row,
Is it possible y'all could take that footage and do something else with it one day?
Oh yeah, because I was talking to the Scott, who's the president of our current record label, and he was like, "Well, good thing y'all didn't release it," he says, "because your story is not over." So he said we could still have write another chapter to be in this. So.
Right, so it kind of blends the music scene in with the timing of Hurricane Rita or Katrina.
Yeah, it's all about how the hurricane came through, and it was it really destroyed our career as far as touring, and because the album that we had just recorded got destroyed and
lost your master.
And we lost our van, and we lost our practice room, we lost our record company, we lost everything all in 1 week. And so that's when we just decided we were either going to break up or we could just play weekend gigs. And that's what we've been doing for 10 years, really. We've been playing weekend gigs till we got this record deal. And now we're gonna give it one last go. We're all in our mid to late 40s. So we started this band. We were in our early 20s.
I hope I have not seen my last Choke show. I think it was Contraband days the last time I saw you guys in 2014.
Well, right now, it's all the original members, all four of us, and of course Charlie's been with us, for 20 plus years. But it's all four original members in the band, and
Jason's
we've had a lot of changes over the year.
Right?
Yeah, Jason's been playing. Other than he didn't go to Japan with us, but he's playing all the local gigs.
Okay, I got two more questions for you. For those listening who aren't sure, Tracy McGinnis has had many side projects aside from Choke. What is the status of Thingfish? And I know for fun you do 80s covers, and you've called it Looks That Kill.
Thingfish was my band in high school, right out of high school, and it was my band prior to Choke.
And didn't you get a blessing from Frank Zappa's wife to call it that?
From Gail, I wrote her a letter, and I knew Frank would never answer a letter, so I wrote a letter to Walking Pumpkin Records, and I addressed it care of Gail Zappa, and she did write me back in the days when people wrote letters.
Right.
And this was in the 80s, and she wrote me back and said, you have our blessing totally, because a lot of people were giving us flack for calling ourselves a Zappa album name, but not playing any Zappa songs. So
right, and sorry if I cut you off, but how would you describe Thingfish's style?
We were like James Addiction and the Pixies. Okay. It was in that vein, definitely. And then Looks That Kill was just an 80s hair metal tribute band for
fun, obviously.
And yeah, totally, yeah. And then that was an offshoot of Thingfish, and then A Night Like This, I'm in a Cure tribute band, which is just another offshoot of Looks That Kill and Thingfish. So it's basically all the same members, and we just kind of do tribute shows once a year. We dress up and do the Cure.
Costumes
we do the full makeup and the hair and the whole thing, right?
And this is the last one I'm gonna ask, man. When we first talked about setting this interview up, you told me you got some new stuff going on with Choke that has not been really publicly released yet. I would like you to talk about your recent tour of Japan briefly, but I understand there is a record deal as well as a guitar endorsement?
Amp endorsement, yeah. The record deal is with a label called Salt of the Earth Records, and the owner, the president, is Scott Harrington, who played guitar in Nuclear Assault.
Okay.
And he knew about Choke from back in the day, and when I talked to him on the phone, because he heard we were going to Japan, and he contacted me. He said, is this the same band that was around 20 years ago and used to be in all the metal magazines? I was like, yep, that's us. So he's like, dude, what have y'all been doing? So I told him our story, and he's like, I want to sign y'all to a record deal. Y'all's new. So we weren't even planning on writing a new album, but you know what? It's been almost 20 years since we put out any new material. So we're writing, and they've been good to us so far. The record label's been good to us. They've given us everything we wanted, and they've been cool to us. And they're sending us back to Japan next September.
Is Salt of the Earth based out of Japan?
No, they're out of I think Connecticut.
Okay.
Connecticut.
And did this lead to the amp endorsement?
Yes, totally. He got us an endorsement deal from Orange Amps. We haven't made our order yet, but we are Orange endorsees at this point.
Right.
And we used to have string endorsements, and we used to have Robin Guitars made us custom guitars back in the day, and Jägermeister, and now we're just currently guitar picks. Pick guy guitar picks out of Detroit. He does our guitar picks, and now Orange and Jam and Jelly's hot sauce. There is a Choke hot sauce out.
Oh, that's legit. I saw a picture of that. I thought someone just made a label for fun and
it's a straight up company that came to us and was like, man, I love your band. I want to make a hot sauce. I'm like, okay, and it just so happened to be the best shit ever. So
that is pretty cool. Just a brief rundown on how the tour of Japan went, because it's pretty cool. After this many years, you get to play in another country, and especially that one, and then also, if you could tell everybody who's listening where they can purchase your music and merchandise.
Okay, Scott, a guy named Scott was playing, Scott Alexander was playing guitar in Choke for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And he was in a band called Six Past Hell, and they did a U.S. tour with Gunship 666 from Tokyo. And we did some dates on that tour and became friends with the Gunship guys. And So when Scott joined our band and played with us for like a year, I was like, dude, what's the possibility of going to Japan? He said, well, let me make some phone calls. And 6 months later, we're in Japan on tour with Gunship 666. So Scott set all that up, but, we were friends with him, and we're going back, and Scott's band, I think Scott's back in Six Pass Hell, and they're going back next year too. So that's about it for Japan. I mean, we had a blast. Definitely had a blast in Japan. I definitely want to go back.
Right on. That's everything I have written down. Am I forgetting anything that you wanted to cover?
Well, where they can get our stuff is Death Records, and right now the only thing that's available is the Whatever Happened to Mark Twain's America CD. Right. And I think there's a link. If not, and you can go to Dropout Merch, and you can buy choke shirts at dropoutmerch.com.
Okay. Send me a text with that, and I will put it in the credits when I make the video for this.
Okay.
Well, that is pretty much all I have. Once again, for everybody listening, this is TRACY MCGINNIS from Choke and Thingfish, and I enjoyed talking to you, and as soon as I can, I will make a video out of this and get it posted online so everybody can find out what's going on lately with you guys.
Cool. We'll appreciate any support anybody gives us, because we've been a DIY underground band for 25 years, and any support we definitely appreciate. Appreciate it 1,000,000%.
Right on. Thank you, Tracy.
All right, man.
All right, you have a good night.
All right, bye.